bar for bar soundtrack review. IDK and Friends 2. IDK Friends 2 is the sequel to 2018's IDK and Friends. Just like the original, it's to be treated more like a collection of songs rather than a full album. The only difference this time around is that it's going to be used as a soundtrack to Kevin Durant's documentary Basketball Country in the Water. If I'm not mistaken, I think I heard something about IDK wanting to make it a point that a lot of the features here are from the DMV, with the exception of Ferg, Denzel, and Maxo. I mean, I can't find where I saw it originally, but outside of these, he wanted to draw attention to the DMV artists. Given that this is more of a collection of songs that IDK did with some friends rather than the album, I'm going to be looking at the tracks more individually rather than like the project as a whole. With that said, let's get into the project. This installment of IDK and Friends is a little bit longer than the original, coming in at a total runtime of 24 minutes with 9 tracks. I think the original had like 18 minutes with 6 tracks or something like that. Anyways, the album starts off with the intro, Omerta. Omerta is basically just the Mafia Code of Silence, like don't say shit. This probably ties in better to the actual documentary rather than the project though. The intro then takes us into the first actual track, Riley, which features Zanman, whom I've never heard of. And upon first listen, I was so thrown off with Zanman that I just didn't want to return to it until a few listens later. I don't know if it was the chorus that he did or what, but once I got into the actual verse, I really, it was enjoyable. It was fun. Mostly just due to how off the wall it is. Like, for example, Rolex watch, they asking, where did Ben 10 at? I'm sure serving that shit like Maddie. Throwing Scooby snacks, okay, Raggy. I hit on a bitch, she like, okay, daddy. His whole verse was just full of fun one-liners, really. And this is the same sort of energy that IDK brings with his verse. And overall, the track is just fun. It's not something that I would really return to too often, but, just a fun track. The next track on this project is Mazel Tov, which features ASAP Ferg. And I don't care for this track at all. It's not bad, but I'm not here for it. And I'm honestly surprised that so many people really gravitated towards it. I think it's just the instrumental mostly. I'm not a fan of the flute or whatever instrument they're using there. And then the strings, I don't know. There's something about it. But ignoring the instrumental, IDK does have good delivery here and provides us with a solid verse, as does Ferg. This brings us to the next track, Square Up, which features Juicy J. And this track is kind of the opposite of Mazel Tov. I really like this beat, but the lyrics are just kind of whatever. The whole track is talking about fucking and telling the pussy to square up. I don't know. The next track, though, is one of my favorites, Bulletproof. This track features Denzel Curry and Maxo Cream. Unfortunately, we don't get a verse from Denzel Curry, but he provides a great chorus. The beat here is also pretty great, and the lyrics aren't really something to really draw attention to. Like I said, this wasn't really meant to be an album, so it's okay if the lyrics are a little bit more lacking, I feel. Plus, if it's a soundtrack, I feel that most people would be okay with an overall sound rather than trying to interpret lyrics and grab onto those. With that said, I enjoyed Maxo Cream's verse, mostly because of his delivery. Next up, we have End of Discussion with PNB Rock. And I actually kind of enjoyed the song. The beat and the chorus were fun, and IDK gives a little bit more of an in-depth verse, which I enjoyed. He started off his verse with, "She said her love language is a gift. I say, bitch, my love language is the dick." It's just funny, because this is what really made me pay attention, because it's just so direct. The whole idea of the track is that there's some women out there that only chase people with money, and how he's turning them away now. Another just funny line from his "My future I don't see you in." Basically like, get out of here. This brings us to the shortest track on this project, Tooth Fairy. And it's honestly one of the more forgettable tracks here. I'm not too big on the beats or what's really being said here. However, I do see how this would fit well into a soundtrack, so I understand the reasoning. The penultimate track is 495, which features Young Manny, Big Flock, Big Jam, Rico Nasty, and Weensy. And this is one of my favorite tracks, mostly due to the intro where they're singing, "All of a sudden, I'm in a dream. Just looking at you has made it begin." I'm not going to try to sing any better than that. This was also the first track that was released for this project. The first part of it has a bit more of a trap sound to it, which by the second time we hear like the previously mentioned singing, it switches up into something a little bit more welcoming with Rico Nasty's verse. And it's kind of funny because Rico is so aggressive and more aggressive than the other verses that we got here. And it's like a lighter beat. Overall, I mean, the track is pretty straightforward and it's one of the longest on this project. I just really can't get over the singing. The final track, Live For It, features Wale and Alex Vaughn. This does a good job of wrapping up the project, even though it's not really meant to be a project like that. But honestly, Wale just deserves more attention. This track's pretty inspirational because throughout both Wale and IDK's verses, the theme of not giving up and working past difficulties is fairly prominent. With all that said, this project is relatively enjoyable. Just like the first IDK and Friends, I did not like every song, but I think that's the point. It's really just a collection of songs that he's done with friends, which, unlike last time, haven't been previously released or leaked to death, with the exception of Bulletproof, I guess. Basically what I'm saying is, don't go into this project expecting, is he real or I was very bad, because I don't think he even approached it the same way at all. I am interested in seeing how these songs play into the soundtrack for Basketball Country, though. My favorite tracks here are 495, Bulletproof, Live For It, and Square Up. I really have nothing else to add. I'm just really glad that IDK is getting this sort of attention now. And I can't wait for you to see for yourself. Let me know in the comments below what you thought of this project, whatever you want to call it. I'm sure everyone has different feelings. I think I really enjoyed this album project, whatever it is, mostly because it's one of the heavier hitting albums, like in terms of bass, and I haven't really had that in the last couple months. But yeah, let me know what you thought, and like and subscribe if you want to see me talk about albums some more. Thank you for watching, and stay safe.